In today's episode, need permission to leave the office? Okay. Doing what we were told, a joint malicious compliance. Manager told me to ask the dishwasher for help, so I did. I'm glad I can blow up in your face, and you don't do anything about it. So let's get started. Need permission to leave the office? Okay. This was a few years ago when I was working in China. Our company moved office from Hong Kong to Shenzhen. Our sales had reduced a fair bit, hence the move to save money. Our two bosses were old school and believed best marketing was word of mouth, and never bothered to advertise our business. I tried to make them reconsider, but they would not have it. I was living rent-free in their apartment, my salary was reduced 50%. I agreed to work 8 to 12:30 as long as I could still live there, and they would still keep my working visa, they agreed. I spent the first month enjoying my half days and going to gym, walking etc. and exploring Shenzhen. I had made some friends and applied for a part-time job in an education center in SC, helping with sales and teacher recruitment. I was working 3 to 9 p.m. I did not tell anyone about this job and emailed my bosses to ask about a salary increase since we were working almost full-time again, no reply. So 12:30 came, my laptop and work phone were switched off. I went to my new job. At this job, the offices were part of the school. What I found weird was we only had 2 teachers, but a lot of students. They even tried asking me to teach some classes. Hell no, that is not my job. My first day the teachers warned me about their boss and my colleague. He was the head of the department, but not my direct boss, let's call him K. I worked 6 hours, I got a 45-minute break at 6 to 6:45. This school was part of a shopping center, so we had to go into the shopping center to use the bathroom. K was a complete micromanaging control freak. Shenzhen during summer is like walking around in a sauna. It is 36 degrees and feels like 45. I used to travel to work by bus, and would take me about 1 hour. I would wear shorts, t-shirt and flip-flops to work. I would always arrive early, around 2:15 p.m., cool down for 30 minutes then get changed and ready for work. K did not like this. I had to arrive at 2:55 p.m. dressed ready to work. I said I am. No, you had to arrive at school in your work clothes. Did not say that in my contract, but okay, I will do that. New guy did not want to argue. After a week or so at the job, they again asked me to teach some classes as they worry having to hire many part-time teachers, which cost them more money than full-time. I said no, I am not even a qualified teacher. Not sure that is legal? We now had 3 teachers, but one was transferring and he specifically said it was because of K. We had previously had another 2 teachers who also left because of K. I was the only foreigner in our office in teacher recruitment, managing our online database, calling teachers for interviews, helping with their documents etc. K comes into the office and asks me where was I for 20 minutes. I said the bathroom. Now I need to tell him when I leave for the bathroom, also where I am going for my 45 minutes break. I ask why, in case he needs me. I said you are not my boss, you have no need to know where I am. He states technically he is the department head, so he does need to know. I ask if all of the Chinese staff ask for permission to use the bathroom, or just me. They laugh and he leaves. QMC. K was also a teacher to English beginners. He is teaching a class. I knock on the door, he looks shocked. I open the door and ask in Chinese, so the students understand, can I go to the bathroom please? He is pissed, but he says yes. 6 p.m. I walk in the office and give him the address loudly of where I am going for lunch. At the same time I am emailing my boss saying I am shocked that the dress code change, not allowed to wear these colored shoes anymore, I have to arrive early dressed, and not allowed to change, bathroom permission etc. stating all of it. My boss was pissed. He already knew about all of the complaints against K, but I think this was the final straw. He calls me up and I explain everything to him. About 1 month later, K was removed as head and became just an English teacher. I worked there part-time for 1 year before leaving for a better job full-time. Funny thing was, as soon as he was demoted, he was a nice colleague to talk to. Doing what we were told, a joint malicious compliance. So this is a store about a major management fail that we tried to warn them about, but they told us to just carry on. The company I worked for at the time got a major contract to provide life assurance products to the major bank in the country. So they set up a team that would deal with only the larger contracts, £1 million plus, and promised really quick turnaround times and high customer service standards. They set this team up before the contract was set up, so this team of go-getters sat around for 6 weeks with no work and no manager waiting for the applications to come in, which caused some major cliques and rivalries, so when the paperwork started coming in we didn't work together at all well. Our manager was pretty useless and just fueled the fires, and her boss was just a useless _lad_ who took ladies back to the offices after nights out. He was so useless, was a guy who just used other people's work to say how great he was. He also bullied our manager, try and get us to do more work with less customer service. I remember being specifically told I couldn't give customer service, but just get people off the phone to process more applications. So 6 months after the contract started, the company wanted to know if we had been following our contracted turnaround times, so we did an audit of all the cases to see if we had hit our contracted agreed turnaround time, and we hadn't hit any on any of the cases. We told our manager, who said just forward the spreadsheets to her, who then forwarded to her boss pointing out the issues, who didn't read the email because he was too busy being the big man, and forwarded to the bank. The proverbial hit the fan. We were reorganized and he was put on projects, which usually meant in that company being managed out. Somehow he redeemed himself and was put in charge of a call center which missed every target again, and he was finally sacked. We got more support and the agreement was changed, so we had realistic service agreements, and the service was expanded to the whole of the company for higher net worth applications, and moved into the underwriting department. Manager told me to ask the dishwasher for help, so I did. Apologizing beforehand for format. I'm on mobile. For a little backstory, I used to work at this fast food place. The manager never did their job and let it fall on everyone else. For many different reasons that would take a whole other post to mention, I decided to quit. When I turned my 2 weeks notice in, the manager ripped it up and threw it away. Then went on about how they were so upset that I decided to leave. They usually took it personally when someone quit. 2 weeks later, I'm working my last day. The manager scheduled me to close and do deposit for my last night. Usually there are 2 cashiers, 2 runners/baggers, a dishwasher, and at least 3 people in kitchen plus a shift leader, me. My last night, the manager scheduled the 2 cashiers, 2 runners/baggers, and the dishwasher. However, only scheduled 1 kitchen worker and me. I called to request online ordering be turned off, which was normally done when we occasionally had less than 3 kitchen workers. The manager would sometimes just cut it off when they didn't want to do a lot of work that night. However, the manager denied my request because they would get in trouble. I complained that there's no way we could do all online, dine-in, Togo, call-in, and third-party orders with 1 kitchen worker and me, who had to deal with customers, system problems, help in the kitchen, and supervise the other workers. The manager told me that if I needed extra help when the orders got too backed up, to call the dishwasher up to the lines to help for a minute. Good idea. I pull one of the runners into the kitchen to expo, and have one of the cashiers rotate between the register and running when the runner needed help. I asked the dishwasher to come up to the line to help at about 6, and we were slammed until closing at 10. We had been 30 minutes behind on orders all night, so the dishwasher did not get to any dishes that night. I go to do deposit, and the dishwasher starts walking towards the 3 sinks full and floor full of dishes in the back. I ask what she is doing, and she answers that she's going to do the dishes. I tell her that her shift was over, and she could go home. She says that she doesn't want to get in trouble for the dishes. I tell her that the manager said I could call her up when I needed help, and that I needed her help all night, and not to worry about it. If the manager said something to say that I told her not to worry about them. What are they gonna do? Fire me? She leaves. I finish deposit and leave the 3 sinks full and in floor full of dishes and go home. Never heard a word from the manager about the dishes. I asked the dishwasher about it, and she didn't get in trouble for it because it was my call to not do them. For the record, the manager has left sinks full of dishes multiple times on the nights they closed if someone else was opening the next day. I knew the manager was opening the next day after my last shift, so, payback? After trying to make my last shift a disaster out of spite, I made the manager's morning a disaster by having no dishes to open with. I'm glad I can blow up in your face, and you don't do anything about it. Have you ever had such a bad boss but you really needed the job? So you swallow your pride and bide your time and wait for the opportunity to rub it in? A few years ago I had a female boss, who does not believe in leading by example since she leaves by 2:30 or 3 p.m. each day, but preaches in our weekly meeting about how great her leadership is. Not only does she never gives 40 hours a week as the head of the company, I often walk by and see she's doing personal stuff during work hours. As you can imagine, this is a failing business that still pays its bills via prioritization of terms and due dates, but has at the helm the most incompetent leadership team, who got there via nepotism. I came to the conclusion each of them are incompetent because of the logic of many individual actions, that's turned out badly more often than not, and the sheepish mentality of the collective yes man instead of the voice of reason they are supposed to bring. Often I would voice my concerns at certain direction of some of the policies or actions being undertaken, and the boss would blow up in my face, privately or in front of others. So many times I just wanted to get up and say, "That's enough, I quit." But I kept calm, and some time later she would come by again, and say we work so great together because we can have disagreements and she can blow up in my face, and I don't say anything. Oh, just you wait. A few years go by and a key customer contract was coming due, and we were told to bid on a new contract via the RFP process. I was responsible for collecting the data from operations, and the boss was supposed to evaluate the data and turn them into a competitive bid rate for the projects. Instead of using historical data as a basis for input into her model, she came up with her own gut feeling inputs for some of the key variables. Source of data is via chatting with her insiders. As the person putting the bid document together, I questioned some of the rates as they seemed unrealistically optimistic. Her response, "Just F***king do as I say." At the very least, I wanted to make the bid document look pretty and polished, so I actually spent a lot of time outside of office hours working my ass off to make sure we got tables that align perfectly, everything is spell checked and sounds nice, and next Monday, I showed her the final product. She's like, "Why did you bother making it even nice looking at all? Look at the customer tender doc they gave us, it's full of mistakes." I can't believe what she said. She also said because I did this without asking her first, basically it was a waste of time, I wasn't going to get time off in lieu. On the last day before the RFP submission deadline, I final checked the documents and rate sheets, and remember what she said about do as she F***king says, knowing full well we will probably get the contracts for the projects we underbidded. I said nothing more. Sent. I was there for the big celebration for winning the major contracts. I was also there when reality sinks in that they will be losing money for the next several years. We work in a tight industry where bad news travel fast, so a breach of contract would be the end of a company. I left shortly after. I heard that they really had to downsize the overhead, and the ownership stepped in and got rid of most of the top heavy management. Thanks for watching.